with both of those shows, to the point where I even went to a Days of Our Lives convention when I was in high school. Twin Peaks was, a seminal show in my childhood. X-Files was another one, but also primetime soap operas: Dallas, Falcon Crest, Dynasty. I was a soap opera guy.
Dallas is literally my favorite show of all time. So there
Wow.
you go. Literally.
You been to the real South Fork?
I went for the 40th anniversary the last time they had it. I think 2018. I mean, Larry Hagman wasn't there, but like Linda Gray, Patrick Duffy, Charlene Tilton, Steve Canale. It was like everything.
I've never been. That's on my bucket list to get to South Fork.
You need to go. It's really, it's different than you expect, but it's still like you're there.
Because it's smaller than you. It's not like this huge mansion.
It's smaller and like the inside's different, but you get to go on that, like, where they had their outside breakfast all the time in the driveway. And you're just like,
I gotta get.
Yeah. You're like, this is a bucket list moment. It's so simple just to get there, but you're like, this is a bucket list moment. Speaking of Dallas, we had Dallas was rebooted, Dallas 2.0. Like, is there a show that you think is just prime for a reboot like that?
Oh, so reboot or revival? So I'm so particular about this, and I don't mean to be a dick, but because I write for TV Line, it's like it irritates me so much when people in the media call a revival a reboot, because they're two different things. A reboot is taking a show, the IP, and recreating it with a whole new cast, a whole new world. Revival is continuing the story of those original characters. You mean revival, right?
I mean revival, but to your point, I do think we all use the word reboot. So, I guess I mean revival, but I'm also now curious as to, do you think there should be any show that should ever be rebooted and just new characters and starting over?
I've never been a fan of reboots. And I've always been sort of skeptical of them, especially if it's a show that I loved initially. It's like, I don't want to really see it be remade with new people. I do often, however, want to see the characters that I loved, where they are today. And it's hard actually to figure out. A lot of the shows, I would love a Santa Barbara revival, honestly, more than anything. But I am aware of the challenges of getting that cast back together. I know what they are, so I know it probably isn't ever going to happen, and that makes me really sad. Falcon Crest is another one. We've had a number of like Dallas revivals. I would love a Falcon Crest revival, but Jane Wyman isn't alive. So what would that be like? So yeah, all of my revival pipe dreams are just that. They're pipe dreams. I don't think they're ever going to happen.
What about Felicity? We have Scott Speedman's busy on Grey's Anatomy. I'm not sure Kerry Russell wants to do it, but
I love Felicity because that was a show it was a college show. I don't know how it would feel to be outside of that setting. Gilmore Girls was a small town show. When that show came back, it was still in the small town. It was still in that setting. So it felt familiar. Felicity feels like it would be a little bit more of a risk, because I don't know what the setting would be. I don't know where they would be. But oh my God, I'd love to revisit those characters, particularly if J.J. Abrams and Matt Reeves, the co-creators, if they were involved. I would totally be on board.
Now that this movie is out and you've been doing a ton of press and chatting with people like me, this is your job. Like, is it strange to you? I know you've done interviews before, but like, you're really hardcore now doing press. Like, is it strange to be on the other side of the receiving line?
Yeah, it absolutely is strange. And at first it was uncomfortable. I did some press after the book came out, and I didn't relish being on the other side. I was much more comfortable being in your position and the one asking correct questions. And I think that's about control. I like to be in control. I like to be in the driver's seat. And this is a more vulnerable, scary place to be. But everybody's been so nice, and the response to the movie's been so great that the experience has honestly been really lovely.
When you talk about vulnerable, it is a movie based on your life with subject matter that is, teary-eyed at many times. What about, you have done so many interviews, to my point, like, is there just a favorite interview that you've ever done that, or, one that sticks out of just someone where you're like, wow, this was great.
I interviewed Lucy Lawless at Comic-Con when I was at Entertainment Weekly. This is probably 2008 or 2009. She was on Spartacus at the time. And Lucy Lawless is so much fun. She's also so filthy. And she brought the filth to the interview and proceeded to explain to me what a merkin was, which I didn't know. A merkin is a pubic wig. And they use them on the Spartacus set because everybody is naked all the time. So during this interview, which I think is on YouTube somewhere, she proceeded to explain to me what a merkin was. And it's one of the most joyous, hilarious interview experiences I've ever had.
I'm gonna have to go find it now. What about the opposite, where someone just, like they always say, like, don't meet your idols, where you interviewed someone and, like maybe if it was just a different day, who knows, but where you were just like, gosh, I was so excited to chat with this person. Because, like you're like me, I think, like in the sense that you love pop culture. So of course it's your job, but you have your favorites where you were just kind of let down or just like, man, that could have been so much better.
I'm sure I do. I think I probably blocked them out because nothing is like top of mind. Nothing, I definitely have had uncomfortable interviews. I like to be sort of playful in interviews and sometimes not everybody is super responsive to that, and that could make the interview sort of awkward. But nothing, no, I can't really think of anything off the top of my head. Certainly I don't know of any experiences where I was meeting someone who I idolized and they disappointed me. And maybe that's partly because I go into those experiences with low expectations. I'm not really under the illusion that they're going to be exactly as I hope or want them to be. In fact, I go in the other direction. Go with low expectations, you'll be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of the same way. Do you get starstruck? I mean, you've met everyone who's anyone. You've interviewed casts of every show possible, movies. Like, do you get starstruck?
Yes, I got starstruck by Sally Field yesterday in the elevator, and I worked with her for 2 months. I was like, holy shit, that's Sally Field standing next to me in an elevator. Like, insane. Absolutely, I get starstruck. It doesn't happen often, but it happens.
Do you have, well, Sally Field's a great one. Brothers and Sisters is one of the best shows that's ever existed, also, and of all time. Do you have someone like you would just love to interview that you haven't? Like, who's on the top of your list? I'm sure it changes all the time, and then you actually interview them, and then someone else moves up on the list.
I would like to interview Marcy Walker and A. Martinez from Santa Barbara. They played Cruz and Eden, the main couple. That relationship has served as such an inspiration for me as a kid, but also as an adult. I would love to get the two of them. I would love to